members of the diplomatic corps, excellencies, officials of the government institutions, the private sector, business leaders who are here, thank you for gathering here and thank you for the invitation. So I was listening to Arun and I was listening carefully and I had to write something else. Right? So actually he mentioned most of the things that you need to carry from here onwards. What's really important is what you represent here today. How many millions collectively? The countries that you represent, you count the number of people, us here in this hall, it's millions or billions, right? So that is the power that we have in this room. So whatever said here, whatever we network, whatever we carry is to the entire world, and also you all as representatives account more than, I would say, 60 billion worth of transactions every year at this point. You know, we import about 22 billion, we export about 17 billion, we have a tourism income about 3 billion. We pay debt about 5 billion. And then when you really look at all those transactions collectively, we account all these economic activities at this point also. So what we really want to see is that we work towards creating a big portion for the global economy. So I'm going to twist what Arun was talking about. It was mostly about how Sri Lanka, what Sri Lanka has, but what we are trying to do is to create global value together, right? So we as a team going to create global value through this plot of land. So what Sri Lanka is. But if you really look at last 2 decades, 3 decades, diplomats who has been here, some of you have been here, some are new, some are, might leave within a few months. What was the story? So when you go back or when you meet someone from your country, what would be the questions? How is it? What does it look like? Right? You would say a beautiful country with beaches. Is that right? So there's a story that always resonates. But unfortunately for those 2-3 decades, there were good things and probably bad things to tell as well, right? We had ethnic conflicts, we had economic crisis, we have corruption, examples of corruptions that probably some of your citizens would have faced in this country. So these were the vibes that went through about Sri Lanka, right? And still, the beauty piece stands, and people of this country has decided to change the dark side of the equation. So that's what this government has been trying to do over the last 1.5 years. And we are proud that we have been successful in most of the areas, especially being very transparent and ensuring the government service is strengthened, that the political sphere looks at policy and reforms, where the government officers and institutions are strengthened so that they can deal with economic activities like trade and investment. Right? There is no undue influence on things that are that has to happen, especially in dollars. And then when it comes to reforms that are needed to empower trade is taking place. We are working very hard to getting economic access to countries which we didn't have early, but there are reforms that need to be done in order to do it, like tariff reforms, reforms in the customs, reforms in the taxes, reforms in the tax structures. So these are things that has not taken place, which other countries did decades ago. So we are slowly doing that. And if you really look at the efficiency piece, that was another big barrier that we had as a gap, that how to deal with the government, how to deal with the country. Where is the information? What is the platform? Where is technology? Where's the efficiency? So that is why we have heavily investing in technological transformation, so that it makes it easy for people to interact and work with Sri Lanka. So these reforms are taking place. At the same time, not only from a fiscal, digital perspective, there's education reform that is happening. There's a reform in health that is happening. There's a major shift in poverty alleviation. There's a major shift in how the environment is protected. So these are changes that are taking place that will shape the story of Sri Lanka. And I think that is the message that we want all of you to take and share. And let your citizens, let your investors, let your trade partners explore and learn that there is a transformation taking place. Because some might expect transformation to take place over a year or year and a half. It's not going to be this case. So we want your support to carry this message of effort, carry this message of intent, carry this message of purpose, so that the people who are looking at Sri Lanka to do business or to grow with us together, will start seeing the positives of it. Because at any given point, there will be problems. So what we are facing these days, we can't sometimes avoid. It's beyond our control. But the intention and the purpose to make changes that will make Sri Lanka equal to every other country who's seeking to grow. The Vietnams, the South Koreas, the India who has grown, Malaysia's, Thailand's, we talk about good things. We look at ease of doing business index. We do look at the logistic competitiveness. We look at the corruption index. All these things, we are weak. We know that. But the story is that we are fighting hard as a nation to get to the top of those, or the first or the second quartile of those rankings. So that is the journey that we are on. And that is why these partnerships are very important. It's not just that it's just there, it's just that we are getting there. So that is why we need the diplomatic community to be part of it. And when it comes to why dealing with Sri Lanka, it's not just that Sri Lanka needs to grow, that there's so much of potential here for all the businesses across the world. If you really look at, from having a regional hub for logistics, regional place for transit, regional location for transactions, here is a place, right? And that is going to benefit the businesses in your country. So you need to look at from that angle. What is the competitive advantage by placing some of those operations in Sri Lanka? What is the competitive advantage of investing or working with people of Sri Lanka? I think a lot of IT firms are benefiting already using our talent. And some of the manufacturing firms are using our engineering talent. Some of the research institutions are using Sri Lankan talent on their research. Early, it can be physical, but now all these things can slowly move to Sri Lanka because of the environment that is being created. And that is advantage for the other nations to see the potential or the competitive advantage of working with Sri Lanka. And the other piece is the biodiversity. You wouldn't find a country that has this much of biodiversity, especially taking certain crops and certain conditions. The future demands of agriculture, future needs of nutrition, we still have a huge potential which has not been invested. Just to give you one statistics, the government has allocated 3 million, I think, acres of land for agriculture itself, right? And it will be more. So, but if you look at the productivity, it's less than half. If you really look at the traceability side of it, if you look at the use of chemicals and fertilizer, if you change those things, the value can be 2 times or 3 times. So there is huge potential in our land. And as Arun explained, the potential in tourism and technology, I don't have to mention. So the flip, how we are going to flip the story is that to see how businesses in your country can benefit of being part of here. And when it comes to partnerships, I would like to highlight that even today, setting up a new business, a large-scale business, is difficult. You need to find land, you need to get approval, you need to find labor, you need to find a lot of things you have to get right to start a new business, right? But if you really look at the number of businesses that exist here, who's global already, who has the capacity, who has the land, who has the machinery, who has the know-how. If organizations of another country can partner, it can double its capacity, triple its capacity, access a different market, and make economic benefit much faster than a greenfield investment. So the angle that we look at FDIs has to change for faster growth. So that is where, from Ministry of Industries, we are mostly pitching to see how our industries, who is in existence, can partner global organizations, especially for 3 things. 1, productivity. If these investments can come and enhance the technology, there's a huge potential, that is doubling capacity. Second, the market access. So when no sooner a partner from a large market partner connects with our industries here, they will have access, they will get access to those countries. We have real good examples of some of our industries partnering Indian organizations and accessing those markets at this point. So partnerships are the way to go. So that is what Special Ministry of Industries is pushing for partnership. It can be a technological partnership, it can be a capital investment, it can be a market access or the brand level partnership. So these are things that can really drive faster economic growth. And when it comes to the go forward plan, right? So Sri Lanka want to position ourselves as a hub for many things, right? So it can be hub for trade, it can be hub for events. It's already happening. If you really look at most of the large events are now getting placed here. Yesterday I saw on news a pageant has come from Poland. So Sri Lanka is being picked for various reasons and conferences, and it can be a hub for research as well. So there is, we want to position alongside tourism Sri Lanka as a hub, and especially the value chain integration is the next thing. So we are still trying to send finished goods. It's a difficult strategy, but we can be part of the value chain. So that we need other industries, large industries in other countries to be part of the Sri Lankan manufacturing ecosystem so that we supply a component or integral part of that value chain. So when you integrate into that value chain, only the sustainability arises. Because when it comes to finished goods, you have to keep fighting on a global scale at a very large, with very large investments to ensure that you sustain in the market. But when you partner a product value chain, it can really drive Sri Lanka into a very safe, secured place. And technology and innovation. I think this is something that we don't necessarily talk about. Mostly Sri Lanka is now introduced by its tourism aspects, beauty of the country and all that. But very rarely you would hear somebody would say Sri Lanka has had one of the greatest technologies 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, even before that. We had the highest or the second tallest tower built to Chathuranga, right? At that time. And we had spring water systems coming from, going through Sigiriya, right? We had ecosystems of agriculture, which nobody could even still figure out today how that was built. So that is the engineering capabilities Sri Lankan DNA has. It was killed over, centuries, but Sri Lanka has that capability in us, and that is where you would see some of our talent working in very high technology-driven areas globally when they were given opportunity. So Sri Lanka still can be a hub for innovation, especially in tech and especially in R&D. And the value of Sri Lanka is, we need to re-portray this, and it is why we need to work together as a team. So that's why when Arun talked about, making this a forum that everybody connects, what we have now is a disconnected structure, right? So different ministries, different strategies. So now what we are trying to do slowly is to bring together. That is what Ministry of Industries have done. So for the SMEs, the strategy that has been deployed last month is to ensure that everything that happens through the, embassies, institutions, foreign donor agencies, that happens in isolation, that we are going to bring all them together onto one strategy. Similarly, on the industry also, we need industrial policy that everybody can look up. So these are some of the changes of the approach that we are going to take. And with that, I think when we go along with these stories going forward from here, if you can connect the industrialists and the investors in next January to our expo that is happening, I think January 14th to 17th, 2027. There's enough time we can work. We can really curate what fits to this strategy, because then it makes it effective for those who come. They know what to look for. We know what to present, how to make these matches to ensure that we make a significant impact within the next 2 to 3 years in partnerships. And Arun explained a lot of opportunities here, but if you really look at, there's a huge opportunity in agriculture, value-added agriculture. Nobody can deny it. It's the fastest growing sector at this point in our exports also, but there's more and more you can do on that. And when it comes to the other sector that we have not explored enough is the minerals. Renewable energy is a no-brainer. There's 16 times more renewable energy than what country needs. And we are expecting to be a net exporter as well, because when we get our energy strategy right, We are looking at how to connect to India, and how to make be a net exporter also to the world. Because, and in the other sectors that we are seeing, there is a huge demand on the electronics and electrical sector, that is like high-tech manufacturing. So there is potential that is growing, and we are looking for investments in those areas as well, because the labor incentive industries will struggle going forward. So we need high-tech industries to come here, because our labor pool is quite thin, and the education transformation will also take a little while. At the same time, there's great opportunity to invest in education as well, because given there's a gap, there is a huge opportunity on the education side as well going forward for other countries to be part of. So the huge transformation that we are expecting is also coming through technology. The strategy that the government has put forward to create a 5 billion digital economy is something so real and so possible, because of the talent, because of the drive that is there. And I think that sector also will attract many investments going forward. So these are few areas. I didn't mention about tourism. So tourism already have a potential to do that. So Ministry of Industries is quite willing to partner any of such interests, and any of the bottlenecks of the existing companies who are here, that we would, if required, we would step in. We have been supporting, and I think BOI has been supporting as well, but at the ground level, Ministry of Industries has a workforce to support. And going forward, we'll continue to work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Economic Division to ensure that we achieve the goals that we have. It's an ambitious goal that we have, a 35 billion export economy, and we want to see Sri Lanka reaching to a 300 billion economy within next 10 years. So that's an ambitious target that we have taken upon ourselves. So I hope today that we'll make a good networking session, and wish you all a pleasant and enjoyable evening. Thank you.